to leave this town, cause lately I've been feeling down. The cold nights just don't feel the same. Oh, like my life inside a car. Hit the button, drive real far. But that record only like, I'm dreaming of you, I dream of a new night. Fight in the dark till we see the sunlight. My love, it's you and I. Close, close, who could light this fire? So reach for the stars, cause we're aiming high.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours. Hey, sorry, I interrupted speaking there just to make sure it wasn't my echo, but it was just people saying hi. So hi. Welcome again. We have a lot of things to cover today, as usual. A lot of exciting stuff happening on Flow. If this is your first time joining, this is our weekly community touch point where we cover interesting new things that are happening on Flow, interesting new projects, and answer any questions. So if you do have questions, this week's Slido is going to be shared in the Office Hours text chat. And there you can ask any questions, but you always feel free to unmute and talk. I believe we have push to talk enabled, so you will need to use push to talk in order to talk. But you can speak up anytime. This is a community discussion. You don't have to, just use Slido if you want to say something. Also, if you're watching this outside of Discord, please feel free to join us on Discord at discord.gg/flow and come to the Office Hours voice chat and be part of the discussion. But if you're watching us from elsewhere, hello, and see you around. And today especially, we are going to have two main sections to this Office Hours. We will keep the main session around 20 to 30 minutes max, and the rest of the Office Hours will be in the breakout rooms. Namely, we will have one breakout room which will be a brainstorming breakout room for a specific Flow CLI feature that Side Ninja / Gregor will talk about. And we'll have the Cadence breakout room, which will be dedicated to Cadence questions, of course, but also mainly dedicated to any questions around secure Cadence, all the upcoming breaking changes. Please use this opportunity to talk to the team. We have Jan and Supun here who will help. That leads me to introducing the team. So this is not an exhaustive list of people working on Flow, but it's the list of people who are usually around during office hours. So apologies if I miss anyone, and feel free to reach out if you want to be added to this FigJam board. But we have the dev avocados, Kim, Bruno, and myself. We have the community managers, Carol and Trey. I believe Trey says that Carol has a new name now. So sorry if I'm using the wrong name for Carol.
She's CTZ now.
CTZ now. Okay, so she's CTZ. We have the Cadence engineers, Josh, Bastian, Satyam, and Alvaro. The FCL and SDK engineers, Greg, Chase, Max, Gregor, and Yanez. The DevX team, Srinjoy, Mac, Pete, Morton, and Alex. Solutions engineering, Albert, and marketing, David. And we're also looking for full stack engineers to join the DevX team. The developer experience team is building out all of the Flow developer tools. So if that's something that gets you excited and are passionate about, please reach out, and you could be on this big jam board in the future as well as join a really great team. Cool. So, as I mentioned right before introducing the team, we also have Yanez and Supun here, who are engineers on the Flow team, and they're going to be in the Cadence breakout room later, answering any secure Cadence changes. And yeah, cool. So, with that said, let's go over high level what the agenda is. We have one project highlight today, which is a very important one. Our first non-custodial wallet on Flow called Lilico. And Hao is going to be talking to us about that, and I'll give him the floor in just a second. After that, we have a couple developer updates to share. Alex will be talking about the developer grants program that we are launching soon. We're also going to have an intro from Gregor explaining Flowkit and giving everyone context on Flowkit, and we'll have a brainstorming session in the FCL/SDK breakout room right after. And then I'll just briefly recap what's going on with Secure Cadence, and if you have any questions, you can go to the relevant Cadence breakout room after. So today is going to be a very question-heavy day and a lot of room in the breakout rooms. So if you have questions, this is the perfect office hours for you. All right, so without further ado, I would say let's kick it off. Hao, the floor is yours. Tell us the good news.
Yeah, thanks. Then I take over that. Hey guys, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so very excited. So our Lilico right now is in the Chrome Store now. And basically you can find that in our official website called lilico.app. Here we have the download link. Once you click on that, it will navigate you to the Chrome Play Store. So yeah, it's easy. Then you just can install or install that. And something to highlight on is the first non-custodial wallet living in your browser in the Flow blockchain, and that's kind of important because our everything was happening in our wallet is in your local. You don't have to rely on any services to send your transactions, and also our wallet will be developer friendly. So later on, we will create more functionality in our tools that help the developers basically to testing with the Dapper. And also, as previously I showed before, so Lilico also supporting network switching. You just can go to your settings. We have develop mode. Once you tap that on, and then you will able to see your testnet in here. And so there's a shortcut on that. So in the red corners, usually this green circle means you are in the testnet. So once without the green circle, which means you are in the mainnet. Yeah, so that's something that you might need to look into. And also we have another reminding here as well, which telling you this is testnet. Yeah, and also we have been supporting more coins into the flow. Last time we just have 4, but there were coming more. Most of them was from solo teams, and yeah, and not only for fungible tokens, but for our NFT collection as well. So now Flow also Lilico also supporting for Float those popular NFTs, and there will be more will be coming out. And yeah, and that's something we have been changes since the last demos, and also currently teams were working heavily on ramping. So next time, the next big update will be you can purchase in your Flow with your credit card, and also next one will be our import wallet. The import wallet one will allows you can manage multiple address under the same account, And also, we are also working on importing your Blocktail account into Lilico. And so in that way, you don't have to transfer each of your NFTs or your fungible tokens from Blocktail to Lilico. We just can adding your Blocktail account in. So that's the tools we are currently working on, and we'll release very soon, hopefully. Yeah, so they were like, there was so I recommend like everyone's, if you got interested, please feel free to try it out. And if you meet any issues or bugs, and you can always reach out in our Discord or our Twitter. Yeah. Apart from that, so there was one thing I want to highlight on is our mobile wallet as well. So our mobile wallet actually will be end of this month. We will starting our internal testing for our Lilico Android. And today I'm just going to give you a quick previews how that's going to look like. Yeah, so that's how Android wallet, how that's going to look like. And also,
we don't see that screen, unfortunately. I think you have to switch the sharing.
Oh, let me share it again then. In the extension is already built it in there as well, and like fungible tokens, and also for these NFT as well. And actually, our extension was more fun, but it also you can have your top collection to see, and you can pin that your favorite NFTs, mark that as your favorite one. And also each NFTs you can see the metadata and also description here. And you can send your NFT as well. And that one is not for it's all been live, and they were like different layout for our NFT as well. If you want to see your NFT, see NFT in collections, or you wanna see all your NFTs within Raid. So we supporting all of that, and yeah, so the similar things what we have for extension. We also have the enable collections in here, and we do have a dark mode. So yeah, if you're preferring for dark mode, it's there. Some of the NFT might look nicer with dark mode. And for the third type, currently we're heavily working on, which is our Dapper browser. Inside of the Dapper browser, it have the ability talking with the FCLs, with FCL's Dapper. So basically, as you can see within this browser, you can see Lilico is installed. So once you click on that, we will have the authorize button here, and yeah, so it's being right now it's being connected. But this account I haven't purchased any names on that. So, and also can minimize that as well. And you can every time you can go back to the browser what do you have. And yeah, that's just a very general quick view. So if anyone is interested, please join our Discord, and yeah, we will have some invitation links in there. So yeah, if you are using Android phones, yeah, definitely I recommend you try it out.
This is awesome. I wasn't expecting this little surprise. This is beautiful. Really, I'm blown away. Awesome. And for people who weren't here when you showed your alpha, do you mind maybe walking us through, why is a non-custodial option worth considering, and maybe also just don't worry about giving like a reintroducing Lilico, because I feel like some people here may not have been at the first time you showed it. So maybe
Yeah.
introduction as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Lilico basically is give you empower empower individuals. So you don't need to you don't need to dedicate it with the third party to help let them to manage into your account. Instead of you will have directly have the you will directly have the options to see your keys. Yeah, so that's the registration. That's the keys that represent for your account that you have to better to store that in a security places. And that's the keys that which will have the full control for your wallet. And yeah, so once you generated that keys, then you just need to create a password. That password will locally protect your account. Once you finish that, then we will have an optional step that if you feels like you might have the risk to losing your private keys, and then you can choosing to back up to your Google Drive, or you can skip on that. So, but we can recommend to do so because if you lose your private keys, which means then you might have the risk to losing all your assets. So yeah, and this Google Drive things is storing in your personal Google Drive. It doesn't store in any our Lilico's drive anything. So it's pretty is still decentralized. And yeah, so once you've done that, then you will be able to see that's your address was being generated, and also if you want to deposit, here is the QR code, also your address that you can do. Yeah, the biggest differences between custodial and non-custodial, why we are different from the Blockto, is even our server was down. There was no any blocker that you can send in your asset to anywhere. And yeah, and also we all know it's like the Web3 is all about your the power that you own in your asset. So yeah, if you confidence feels like you can managing your private key well, yeah, definitely I think the Lilico is your best option to go with. Yeah, that's
Thanks, Al. Yeah, awesome. I've already been using it since the alpha, and I'm a big fan. Definitely check it out on the Chrome store. Try it out, give it a rating, and join the Lilico Discord to get access to the Android. Awesome. I suggest, given the time that we have, I want to make sure that we have enough room for the breakout rooms. How, if you don't mind, we can leave questions around Lilico for when we go into the various breakouts. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sounds good to me. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Then let's move to our next agenda item, and that is Alex talking about our recently announced dev grants as part of the Ecosystem Fund. Alex, do you want to take it away?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey.
Sweet. Well, I don't think I need to share my screen, even though I could just share the Ecosystem Fund website, I think, and then we can go from there. So let me see. Oh, I would need to request access for that. You know what? We'll skip that. I'll share the link in here so you guys can all take a look. 1 second. There you go. So, okay, beautiful. Well, good morning, everybody. Super excited to talk to all the builders today. We are extremely excited to announce the dev grants, which were part of the Ecosystem Fund announcement just earlier this week. Within this announcement, we had the Dapper Studio Fund, we had ecosystem investment and fundraising support, as well as this developer grants program. Now, the developer grants program itself is supposed to help accelerate and enhance the process of building and consuming apps on Flow, which effectively a more complex way of saying we need developers to help other developers in order to make their life easier in one way or another. So we want to see solutions to help developers either consume a service, help developers build better apps or faster, and help developers be more educated and master Flow. Overall, most of those solutions that we're looking for will most likely end up being open source and or free, so the ecosystem as a whole can benefit from it. And the whole idea behind that is that we're really building out projects that can benefit the broader developer community on Flow. So how do we support you in general? We are issuing Flow tokens. We are providing feedback on milestones, and we also help you connected with Flow community in case you need any kind of resources. So we're not directly providing resources or humping out on that front. The exact amount of tokens depends on the project itself, kind of the scope, the milestones, what team and how big the team is that's working on it. Generally speaking, though, we want to have folks, and we want to make sure that folks are excited about building on Flow and want to sustain their contributions. So we'll find a way to provide an appropriate amount of Flow tokens in order to help you work these projects on like a full-time basis or how much time you can allocate to it. Now, there are 4 different broad categories, and this is, I think, where it would make sense to share the screen. There you go. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. 4 broad categories in order to the 4 broad categories that we actually want to focus on. First is open source maintenance. Second is developer services. Then there's product bounties, and there's also technical education. So for open source maintenance, if you are a frequent contributor to one or more of Flow repositories that are being used in the ecosystem, we want to absolutely sustain your work, and we want to help you fund that. So you can apply if you're some sort of a contributor to some project that we already have, and then we can figure out how to define the milestones and make sure that you can continue your contributions. Ultimately, we want to have repeated contributors just coming back and frequently contributing to the tools and feeling like they have everything they need from the ecosystem side of things in order to continue and develop their tool and make sure that it's going to grow over time. Now, for developer services, this is a different category. You can imagine that developers might need some specific service in order to make their integrations or their applications easier. And mostly this is for services that are kind of difficult to monetize. So think about like an indexing service, for instance, that would enable you to query the chain, or something else that might be used by developers specifically to enable some features on their end. Then we have product bounties. Those are generally speaking in order to help extend, improve, and grow the usage of Flow tools that we have. We actually have one right now that applied for a grant in order to add TypeScript support to FCL. So that's a good example of a product bounty, for instance. Technical education is in order to help onboarding and help developers actually master Flow. So for instance, that could be sharing best practices in some sort of a blog post or some sort of a class to help new developers learn Flow. So overall, those 4 buckets are the ones that we're focused on. And if you're looking for some sort of inspiration, we currently also have a list of projects, requests for projects. We call them wish lists. If you can, let me see, if you can scroll up for a second here and click on the issues, you will see a bunch of issues on the GitHub page itself. And some of them are labeled as wish list items. I don't think the screen is changing, but if you have the GitHub link, you could actually just go there and scroll up to issues. Let me share the link here with you in the chat, and you can check out what requests for projects we already have, and you can submit new ones to yourself as well. So how do you apply? Well, as you can see, we're mostly using GitHub here. By default, we want to be in the open. We want to build in the open. This is really focused on open source and developers itself. So GitHub is the perfect place for us to run this program. I just shared the link so you can open this up and you can read more and apply if you want to. We created an issue template. If you want to apply, there will be a template that you can select from. So either a wishlist item if you want to see a project in the Flow ecosystem but are not going to work on it yourself, or if you actually have already an idea for a project and you want to work on it yourself, you can also submit an issue with all the details, including milestones, the problem you're trying to tackle, what solutions you have, what kind of impact you're looking for, and all of that. What we really want to see is proposals that have 3 things in common. First, we want to see evidence that there's some real problem that we need to solve, and there's some real user need or developer need worth tackling. Second is we want to see that it's actually doable and feasible to implement the solution. And then the third is we want to see that it accelerates other projects. So somehow it should contribute to other projects or enable other developers to be better at what they're doing. All right, so I'm going to sum it up and wrap it up here. This is just the start. We just announced this program early this week. We are already excited. There were some submissions already coming in throughout this week, which is fantastic. In fact, we also started this program with one grant already in execution. You might recall we were talking about the interactive art NFT project that Matt was running through last week and chatting about. So that is actually, that started as a grant, and Matt is running through the grant program with this project. So we're going to scale this and provide more structure over time and trying to get more support. Now, I'm just going to wrap it up and say, feel free to check out the repo, browse through the wishlist projects, and apply for a grant if you see something exciting. I would love to see all your applications and thoughts. If you want to just approach me on Discord, you can probably see my name lighting up here in the chat.
Yes, we can. Thanks, Alex. Super excited for this. I know a lot of the builders here are also super excited for it, and we can leave time for questions later after everyone goes into the breakout rooms. But yeah, check out the information in the GitHub repo, and if you have a great idea or you see one of the wishlist items that you want to tackle, go for it. Awesome. Yeah. So so next topic on the agenda, Gregor, Flowkit, take it away.
Everyone. I want to invite everyone to brainstorming session about Flowkit into the SDK breakout room. But before that, let me make a quick introduction about what the Flowkit even is. So Flowkit is almost as a side product of developing the CLI. And by that, I mean the whole CLI is actually built by two parts. One is actually the kind of the user interface part that handles interactions with the user, like, for example, entering a transaction ID you want to fetch. And then this is the other part, is like this Flowkit part, which actually handles fetching the transaction. So let me give you another example. So when you create a project in your Flow.json file, and then run the project deploy command, that is mostly implemented in Flowkit. And we design it in a way that it could be used as a library in other software to leverage the work we've done with the CLI. But yeah, of course, Flowkit is super early staged, and I wouldn't even call it a library yet. But we will for sure one day, and today brainstorming could be one step that would take us closer to that. So everyone that maybe used it or has any ideas or any general ideas of like a Git library they would want to have on Flow is welcome to join in the SDK breakout room.
Awesome. Thank you, Gregor. Yeah, so we are just about to go into the breakout rooms. Before we do, I just wanted to remind everyone that we are on a general path towards permissionless deployment, which will happen this summer around June. And a critical part of that is secure Cadence. So secure Cadence is a series of breaking changes that will make Cadence more secure, hence the name. And there are some breaking changes that you should keep in mind, and those breaking changes will be effective on testnet starting June 8th and on mainnet starting June 15th. So make sure that you start preparing your contracts, or if you're starting to build on Flow, make sure that you keep those changes in mind. Our awesome community member, Jacob, has also prepared a video to kind of walk you through what the changes are and how they impact your contracts. They aren't massive changes. They're just things that you might need to update in your contract if you're using things in a certain way. For example, if you're using the standard NFT contract and you're borrowing the NFT, you just have to change some syntax to force cast an optional. Anyways, I don't want to go into the details here, but definitely check out the video that will be linked in the office hours text chat, as well as the links to the relevant forum posts that explain the whole path towards permissionless deployment, as well as secure cadence. Just wanted to flag this, remind everyone, and Jan and Supun from the Float team are also going to be in the Cadence breakout room and be able to answer any questions. And I want to leave any room for Jan if you want to jump in or add anything before we go into the breakout rooms.
Maybe just quickly, we will be announcing a testing program or bug bounty program for secure cadence soon in a few days, probably early next week. So stay tuned to that. We will update that on forums. Other than that, just ready for jumping into the breakout room.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. All right. So with that said, we are 30 minutes on the dot as we were aiming to be at the start of the office hours. Awesome. So just to recap, we have 2 breakout rooms today. We have the first breakout room, which will be a brainstorming session for Flowkit, and that will be led by Gregor, and that will be in the SDK and FCL breakout room under this office hours voice chat. And the second breakout room will be the Cadence breakout room, and if you have any secure Cadence questions, any questions about the upcoming bounty program, and any questions around Cadence at all, then make sure that you join the Cadence breakout room. So June is right around the corner, so if you are working with smart contracts and you have questions around how to upgrade or how to prepare for it, make sure that you use this time to ask the relevant questions. In this specific breakout room, we're going to go over the questions, namely around Lilico and perhaps the dev grants. Feel free to jump into the relevant breakout rooms now, and we will just continue addressing some of the questions with Lilico and take it from there. Carol, did you want to talk about, actually, this is good to show. We are also running a poll to see where you mainly get your information from. For example, the breaking changes to Cadence. It would be great if you can help us add information to this poll. So if you have a specific place where you look for information, that way, we know how to tailor the information in each channel. We will try to do our best to make sure that every channel has all the latest updates and news, of course, but it's just good to know where people are getting the information from so that we can make it more relevant. If you can participate in the poll that's part of the Slido, that would be great as well. Cool. All right. So one thing I wanted to mention about Lilico before we dive into the questions is if you have a DApp built using FCL, you should also make sure that you update to FCL 1.0, which uses the new discovery. That way, your app will be compatible with Lilico out of the box. So, for example, Floats, that's an app that I've contributed to. That's if you go to testnet.floats.city, that already has FCL 1.0, and you can use Lilico to create an event and mint a float. No problem. And the great thing is all it takes is upgrading the FCL version. There are tiny little things that you have to add. For example, a little configuration of what your app name is and like a icon. But it really is pretty low touch and a couple of the REST endpoints. And once you do that, you don't have to change any of your other app logic, because that's the beauty of FCL, that you just use FCL once and it integrates with all the wallets that support FCL, including Lilico. With that said, let's go through the questions. Lagit asks, when .find name resolver support?
Yeah, good question. So that's why it's already being supported by Lilico now. So if you're using Lilico, you just type someone's name .find. When you try to sending the transactions, is being popping up. And yeah, so basically the two big domains in the flow is already being supported. Yeah.
Awesome. How is always one step ahead of everyone. And yeah, so someone asked, I heard you will be offering free Flow DNS for everyone. Do you mind sharing a little bit more information around that?
Yeah, so for that one, that's one we were considered too. But also there were like some concern we are discussing about. Previously, we thinking the DNS will be easier for the Flow friends they find each other's, because in our wallet we will have multiple wallet support. You can have one of your wallet can be easy. People can know you, and the other one you can keep that as a privacy, or you can keep that as anonymous. So yeah, that's one. That's the first thing we want to address. So just more social, make the wallet so more sociable, more user friendly. So you don't need to rely on the address. Instead of you just can using your friend's name to find them. But also we were adding a support to toggle in our app that you can mark yourself as anonymous. So then in that way you can avoiding to find by someone if that's your option. And this free DNS is totally is by claimable, is not automatically assigned to you. So if you don't want to, yeah, you can choose not. So, but yeah, if you want, then it will be free. And that's the one of the issue we want to address. And then the second issues was we noticed that one of the pain points in the Flow ecosystem is if I want to send you some of the NFTs or the fungible tokens, but if one of my friends they didn't enable that collections, and actually that transaction will failed. And it's a bit hard it's not that user friendly, because the user have to know the logic behind it to know why was that. So he have to enable that extra steps to do. So that's why we are thinking if we could make in a DNS, so which means we can create an inbox system for the users. So which means next time if I want to send you some of the tokens that you did enabled, that will come into your inbox. Welcome to my friend inbox system. So he can review that. If they want to claim that, he can every time he can claim that back, claim that to his the right places. But if no, and then it will be you usually can reject that. So yeah, that's the two things we want to achieve. And we know we are also one thing weird is in the Flow ecosystem we have been working on the genetic NFTs, and which will resolve these kind of issues. But yeah, this kind of thing we still currently we are exploring, and we'd love to hear more suggestions.
Awesome, thank you. And the question is not really for Lilico, but it's more general. I thought Blockto was non-custodial. So maybe I can take a stab at answering this one. So Blockto is kind of a hybrid. It defaults to custodial. So when you sign up for Blockto, you don't have to create any, you don't have to keep track of your keys. Blockto does all of that for you. But they do have a non-custodial mode that is irreversible, and you can opt into it. So yeah, but Lilico is the purely non-custodial. And How, if you want to add anything to this, feel free.
Yeah, sure. So one thing I want to add on is even for the Blockto, they have non-custodial mode, but that's not really fully non-custodial, because they still have your private keys backup in their servers. So which means their servers have all the users' private key backup. So it doesn't mean once you turn on the non-custodial mode, which means they don't have your private key at all. Is backed up. So they will encrypt it with your password. But yeah, still some backup in there. It just that's major differences. But in Lilico, what we mean fully non-custodial is your private key is untouched. So we don't store any of your private keys or any of your backups in our services. So everything was inside or just in your personal places.
Yeah, and that also flows into the next question. Given that it's fully non-custodial and you are completely responsible for signing all transactions and keeping track of your keys, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lilico, you have to pay your own fees, right?
Yeah, that's what we initially thought, but we still have we have listened some feedbacks from the users, and there were some people who suggest is not that user friendly, because once they landing into the page, they can't because they didn't have any flow, they can't do any transactions. So that's when really I was really thinking these days. So what we can come out is currently we are working on. We will have the option buttons in every transactions. Not an option button is the checkbox. So that checkbox by default is for Lilico will pay for your transaction fees. But if you don't want to, you can unclick on that, or you can in the settings you can choose no, and then in that way you can pay your own transaction fees. Yeah, so to make the user more friendly, actually this part we have to rethinking. Previously we would like to you fully non-custodial, then you pay the fees, but so that's when we have a second thought on that.
Awesome. So it seems like there's going to be both options, which is awesome.
Yeah. It will be options then the user can choose from.
Cool. Thank you. So the next question is, how did Flow go from 50 to 28th place on CoinMarketCap? Its market cap is there, blah, blah, blah. So that's a very simple explanation. We also released a blog post this morning explaining the change to how we calculate circulating supply. So nothing really changed. It's just a different methodology, aligning to how the rest of the industry calculates circulating supply. And you can read more details in the blog post, which has been linked in the office hours text chat, but maybe we can link it again just so that it's fresh, and you can find all the information there. But the TLDR is there's been no change. It's just a different way of calculating circulating supply, and to make it more essentially more updated and more aligned with how the rest of the industry calculates it. Cool. Right. Thank you, whoever. So Twitter is where I've gotten majority of Flow news. Awesome, good to know. We will make sure that any relevant, Cadence updates are also sent via Twitter. And let's see some of the responses. So Discord is definitely still office hours. Oh, great to know that office hours is a good source of information. Forums, direct contact, none. I had no idea. Please make more noise. Absolutely, we will. And emails, yeah. So we will make sure to keep in mind all of this in the next communication strategy. Cool. So are there any particular project areas the Flow Ecosystem Fund is looking for prioritizing development in? Is it mostly for developer tools or end user dApps? I believe it's both. So the developer grants that Alex was talking about, that's mainly focused around kind of like the education and tooling side, but it doesn't have to be limited to that. And the ecosystem fund more broadly is really around building products for users. So if you're building great services, whether they be for developers or users, the ecosystem fund is for you, whether it be through a developer grant or not. So part of the ecosystem fund is also VC investment. So if you're looking to create a startup built on Flow, then definitely check out the ecosystem fund and take it from there. Cool. And very general newbie question, what is the best way to engage the Flow community to get feedback, advice, and just network? Now, I'll take a stab at answering this, but I'd love for other people to jump in and give their perspective, because obviously mine is just mine. So I would say if you're a developer, one way is definitely to be part of this Discord and to ask all your questions here, and you'll find a lot of helpful people. If you want to see more about the ecosystem, then definitely check out Flowverse. And as they do a lot more, AMAs with projects, and there's just a lot more community activity there in terms of end users using projects built on Flow. And then I would just say join as many Flow project Discords as you can and kind of get familiar. The cool thing about Flow is that all of the project creators are super friendly. And there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of working together, brainstorming. So you'll find a very friendly community. But again, I'd love to hear other people's advice on how to engage with the Flow community.
I'd also like to point out that we created a Flow projects category here in our Discord. So for those who don't know, there's a reason why there's the Flow Discord versus the Flowverse one. Flowverse one is very community-led and is very project-focused. So there you'll find other people who just like engaging as much as you do with the projects, and you could be more end-user focused. Whereas here in our Flow Discord is very, very developer-focused. It's more like collabs. So we created a whole section that you can get feedback from each other. And maybe Trey can jump in and explain all the different channels we created there.
Yeah, we have a few channels to promote your project. One for you all to come together and collaborate, on things you want to do or you need help with. You could talk about projects as well. That's kind of what goes on the Flowverse side. Show off any of your NFTs, and find if you're looking for work or to find someone to help you, there's a channel for that.
Yeah, but we highly recommend you go to Flowverse if you're looking to post jobs or looking for jobs. They have a really, really awesome, they have an awesome job board there that you can post in, and it's much easier to.
I'll get the link in the chat for that as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. So we answered that one. We answered the next one. Any plans to expand this type of office hours to speakers of other languages, such as Spanish or Chinese? That's a great idea.
So for the Chinese one, we don't do it here, but the Flow China team officially, we have a whole community China team, and they have their own Discord, Telegrams, WeChat. They have a super, super active community with, I think, at least one AMA or 2 AMAs going a day. So if you want to join that team, we can find all the links so you can join their hyperactive team. I don't know about Spanish though. We should have a Spanish one.
Yeah. I think we need to think about this. I know that there's also been some talks about how we optimize the breakout rooms as well. Not to pick on anyone, but his name starts with a G and ends in Reg Santos, which is a very good call out. Some people may want to participate in both discussions, and we should probably have a way to make sure that it's possible. So yeah, office hours are not set in stone. We are always trying to improve them. If anyone has ideas on how to make them better or how you would like office hours to be useful for you, please reach out to us so that we can take that feedback and action on it. We're only doing what we think is best, but if there's better ideas, then we are happy to take them into consideration and adapt. Our main goal is just to make sure that people have a way to talk to the team and a way to stay up to date. But it shouldn't be the only way, of course, and it definitely can be improved. Cool. When a Flow Ambassador program. So technically, a Flow Ambassador program, there's different flavors of it already existing. So the dev grants that Alex just talked about, that's a great way for more developer-focused contributions, as well as educational content. So if you're thinking of becoming an ambassador and kind of creating educational content, then the developer grants is probably the best route to go through. If you want to become more of a community ambassador, then reach out to Carol and I, and we can have a discussion. We are definitely looking for Flow ambassadors. We don't have an official program because it's really focused on more on the individual, and we want to make sure that it's quality over quantity. But yeah, definitely reach out to us and we can talk. Cool. I don't know, Carol, if you have anything to add there.
No, I think that was a great question, and we would love to roll out more of these. I think, even if you want, some people have already reached out, even if you're part of like an educational institution or you have a Web3 club at your school and you're just starting to get into Web3 and you would love Flow to help support you in any way, definitely reach out to us too. It's part of our ambassador program that like we support one-offs or any initiative to kind of like get the word out there about Web3 in general, not just Flow.
Yep. Exactly. So, I think we kind of addressed the other question as well, but I don't know, Alex, Srinjoy, if you want to jump in on the last question and add your thoughts as well.
I think your answer was,
Go ahead, Alex. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I was going to say your answer was spot on. The whole ecosystem fund overall has 4 different pieces to it, and the developer grants program is only one of them. The other 4 pieces, again, we do we do actually funding into specific like projects, and if you have some sort of an app that you build that might qualify for that, that could be an opportunity. We also have the Dapper Studio Ecosystem Fund. I am not super familiar with that, but I think the goal there is to grow and support the industry as a whole and create, the fandom community overall. So that is mostly focused on studio apps like NBA Top Shot, NFL All Day, UFC, and so on. Then we have the fundraising support as well. I think that's an additional thing that we're doing. So in case you are already running your own startup and you're building your own products, we also support you in getting more fundraising, getting more funds, and getting more investments through our investors as part of this whole overall ecosystem fund already locked in. And the developer grants are mostly on developer support. So effectively, for developer grants, we want to make sure that developers have the ability and everything they need in order to build the most successful apps as easy and quick as possible. So every service, tool, growth support, education they might need for that should be part of the developer grants program. We have in some areas likely ideas of what we want to fund. Specifically, I can talk mostly about the developer grants, of course, because that's what I'm looking at. For developer grants, we are actually going to look at the wish list items that we have, and we will create, the top 5 or 10 projects that we really want to see built out with the highest priority, and we'll basically define a little bit of requirements and more of an idea of what we're looking for. Those will mostly target like bigger ecosystem gaps that we are currently identifying that might make it a little bit more difficult to build apps right now. So that is coming soon, currently in the works, and hopefully that will give you a little bit of a better idea of what we might be looking for in terms of developer tools. For end user apps, I don't know if I can answer that really. I don't know if there's anybody else who can maybe talk about that.
Yeah, I think you summed it up nice as well. So compliments all around. No, I think the other side of the ecosystem fund is for all apps, and I don't think there's a rule on what type of app, right? I think
Nope.
Actually, the more new and unknown it is, maybe the better, because that is uncharted territory, and Web3 can use a lot of innovation and new ideas. So don't feel like you need to stick to existing standards, stick to existing models. Feel free to come up with crazy ideas and pitch them. And and there's a lot of VCs interested in investing. So
I think there's already conversations I've seen on Twitter about like what that means in innovation. We say like we want more innovative apps, and some of the debate is like some people feel like, well, we're missing tools or basic dApps that like Ethereum or other blockchains have, but it's even more than that, right? It's like really push the limit here, friends. Web3 is still brand new. There is no playbook, so there's no rules on what you should be building. It should be something that probably people have never heard of.
Yeah. And I would say Flow's philosophy and something that you should always use as kind of like a guiding star, not that you have to, but I would say it would definitely help, is think of things that would actually be used by the next billion people. Like this is not just something that we say because we want to say it. It's actually what we believe in. Like Flow was built to be used by the next billion. So we're not looking for, ideally, I think what would get people most excited, especially in the context of the ecosystem fund, is ideas that can bring in and introduce Web3 to a whole new group of people. So I would say that could be something to focus on. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I can just add to that. The reason why we might not really have an answer for that is really because one category of this ecosystem fund, again, is fundraising support. And that means all the VCs that we have in our network, and I think it's over 500, are effectively kind of available to people who want to do fundraising in the Flow ecosystem. So I would venture to say that out of those 500 VCs, there might be one for your app idea that's super unique. And you should definitely think through what you believe is the highest impact and the most exciting thing you want to build. And there's probably a way just to figure out how to match that to the market and to what the VCs are looking for.
Yep, absolutely.
I think that was a great call out that we're not the ecosystem fund also comes with a massive amount of expertise, a pool of expertise that you can leverage as well.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not just about getting funds; it's also about getting advice, getting mentorship around learnings, having built apps. So it's a lot more than just getting funds. It's ecosystem support, and I think that's why the URL is called that. It's like, how do we support the ecosystem to grow? Because that's what we want.
I think this is great also to eventually for us to talk about permissionless, because I think that will also spur a lot of innovation.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you want to mention something in particular?
No, but hey, how about you as a lead? Let us know about permissionless.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, maybe I shouldn't put you on the spot like that.
No, it's just I kind of gave an overview already, but just to remind everyone, we are on a path to permissionless, slotted for this summer around June, and that will mean that anyone can deploy any contract to mainnet. So, there's not much else to say. If you have questions on the various milestones that we are trying to achieve in order to get there, we can repost the links on the overall permissionless progress tracker, and how we're also going about changing Cadence for it to be ready for permissionless deployment, and all the breaking changes and everything you need to know in order to get ready. And if you have questions around that, definitely go to the Cadence breakout room to ask your questions there. Cool. So is there a plan for a Flow Ethereum bridge? So there's already a couple, actually. So there's Seller Swap, there's BlocktoSwap, there's also if your app is using USDC and Circle, you can use their we have USDC compatibility. So Flow is on is on Circle, so you can kind of do the fund swapping via USDC through your Circle account. So there's various options. I don't know if this question was more specific, but there's already a couple options. We also have Uniswap, I believe. So guys, what can we expect from the partnership with Meta and being able to use Flow NFTs in their products? I'm not super familiar with the details there. If anyone here has more details apart from the announcement, feel free to jump in.
Yeah, so that's coming. Flow integration hasn't happened yet, but basically any Dapper wallet and Dapper wallet integrated partner will have their NFTs be able to show. It's very creator focused and versus project focused. So I think that's like the main thing that you can look out for. It's an ability for us to for you to discover other creators, see what when you see your friends have those particular NFTs, how do you connect to those creators? But it's coming soon, and then eventually we are in talks about integrating Block2 as well. So all the projects on Block2 will be able to integrate.
Oh yeah, so stay tuned for Flow compatibility, which is coming soon.
And hopefully we'll be able to announce also some great creators and artists who will want to collaborate with us on this. TBD.
Looking forward to it. Okay, last question, and then we're out of time. So although I love the projects chat in the Discord, I'm still very hesitant on clicking any links through Discord. Are there any measures to check legitimacy? Maybe Carol, Trey, do you want to chime in on that?
We support every project on Flow because we want to ensure that, there's innovation and it's democratized. Of course, everyone should always do their due diligence, but we do make sure that people don't post too much or spam. We do go through every project, but we can't guarantee we'll catch everything in the project. But maybe Trey can talk more about how he's helping to keep any spam links or illegitimate links through.
Yeah, like Carol said, doing your due diligence is important. We will do our best to vet anyone that's posted. And some people are pretty slick, and we'll catch them and get rid of them when we can. But definitely flag any of you think are real as well, and we'll get them. We'll take them.
All right. Does anyone else have any last questions, maybe in the chat or in the voice chat that they want to flag, or anyone from the team that wants to add anything that maybe they want to add to something that was discussed? Alrighty, then thank you all for joining this week's office hours. Make sure that you get your contracts ready for Secure Cadence. Again, coming up on testnet June 8th and on mainnet June 15th. So the time is now to make sure that you're ready for the upgrades. And see you next week for the next office hours, and have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Party up, party people.
Bye.